We are live, hitting the record button. Welcome back to Buy Real Estate to Cashflow and Get Rich. My name is Walter Morello, and this training is run by the one and only, the great Brett Reed. He is a real estate investor, a real estate broker, and just a hell of a good guy. When it comes to PowerPoint, there is no one better than Brett. Brett, will we have a PowerPoint today?
Absolutely. I hope I have a better claim to fame soon than just PowerPoints, but I'll take it. I'll take what I can get.
I think that's just the thing I like to pick on. But to be honest, your PowerPoints are significantly better than mine. So
They've got money on them, so that's how you know it's good.
it's one of your higher qualities. Brett, I'm going to send over host status to you. And I'm actually evaluating a 48 unit deal with Ron right now. So without further ado, what is the topic today?
We're going to be talking about buying your second property right after you buy the first one. Hopefully it's 48 units.
That would be the goal, right?
Hell yeah.
And the disclaimer for everybody who's new to real estate or just getting started, the first one is the easy deal. Believe it or not, it's usually not your best deal. The first one's typically the worst one. You get better, you're more sophisticated, you get good at negotiating, and over time your deals should get better and better. But the second deal, that's the one we get a lot of questions on. I bought my first house, owner occupied, 10%, 5% or 3% down. Some people with the VA loans, no money down. And the second one is usually that 20% or 25% barrier down payment that chops people up and gets them stuck. So Brett asked me what would be a great topic today. I said, man, let's answer the question on how to get that second deal.
Yeah, I can confirm the second one was the hardest. So I bought my second deal in 2019, June of 2019. So it took me from buying my first deal to my second deal took me 2.5 years. And since buying my second deal, I've already bought 2 more houses. So I definitely agree. The second one's the hardest. Your options are limited. And yeah, we'll get into it. There's a lot of creativity involved for sure. So let me share this sweet PowerPoint.
You are the host.
Everybody can see that? Thumbs up, hands to the camera.
I don't see it on my end.
Yeah. Okay. One more try.
There you go.
That's why I always have to ask.
Glad you did. Let's give Brett Reed a round of applause. And if you can turn your cameras on, it makes this whole event a whole lot more fun. There will be a section for questions at the end. Brett, they're all yours.
Good deal. All right. So before we get into buying your second property, I want to talk about the moratorium update, the eviction moratorium, that is. And then the topics on buying your second property, when to start, preparing, what to do, what not to do, property options, and creating a plan and executing the plan. So first, the moratorium update. Did anybody hear that the federal eviction moratorium expired? So on Saturday it did, but there's a catch. The Biden administration issued a new freeze, if you will, and that's going to be in effect through October. And it's supposed to be a more targeted freeze on evictions. But as you can see on the map on the right there, it's pretty much the majority of the U.S. is in the area that's in the high and substantial spread areas. So all of Rhode Island, most of Massachusetts, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 counties in Mass that are in the clear. So depending on what area you're in, you might still you might have these issues. But hopefully you're in the blue regions that don't have to worry about this. And I'm going to circle back to an original point from previous trainings. The key to avoid this being a problem for you is just to put out a good product where you're going to attract good tenants. When you attract good tenants, you don't have to worry about evicting them. Or at least that's been our experience. So I'm going to explain this all through the lens of the investor that just bought their first deal. And not to say that they're broke or they don't have a lot of money, but I'm not talking about the person who's got a bunch of cash, because there's not really much to teach there. If you get a bunch of cash, it's pretty straightforward. Buy your first deal, you have enough cash to put down on the second one. So really, all that matters is finding the deal and making sure you have financing lined up, good financing lined up. So this is from the lens of the person that's got to hustle to get to that second deal. And so what you're going to want to do when you buy that first deal, the day you close, it should be in the back of your mind, like, I'm looking for number two. Put it out to the universe. And one huge thing, I've said this a bunch of times, everyone's going to start to take you more seriously once you get that first deal. I noticed it when you go into like a networking event or your RIA group or whatever it is, and you're talking to people and you're like, yeah, I'm looking for my first deal. I'm trying to fund my first deal. I'm saving for a down payment, et cetera, et cetera. They won't actually do that, but a lot of people, the stuck up people in their mind, they're rolling their eyes at you. Another aspiring investor, or even, for the agents on the call or listening, the aspiring agent, somebody who's working on getting their license, oh, another agent, oh, another investor. Because the truth of the matter is, a lot of people don't make it too far. Once you get that first deal, you just earn yourself some clout, because now you are an investor. You're not an inspiring investor. You are an investor. You own rental property. That's something that you've showed the world that you can do, and you will do. So day one, the thought of the second deal is just that. It's a thought, and it's should be towards the back of your mind, but it should still be there. You're going to want to focus on stabilizing your first deal. So unless you're buying like a totally turnkey property, you're going to go in and there's going to be some stuff you need to do. Pretty much every property is going to have some sort of deferred maintenance, and not everything you're not going to take care of every single thing day one. You're going to build out your CapEx plan, but you definitely want to take care of what we call in property management the oh shits. If you look at your roof and you say, oh shit, if you go into a unit that just vacated, you're like, oh dang, that is bad. You got to take care of that stuff. So that's focus number one. But you never want to lose sight of working on that second deal and how you get to that second deal. So ultimately, you start on day one. Once you buy that first one, how am I going to get the second one? What's my path to that second deal? So you take care of your oh shits, you start to stabilize your property. And by that, I mean, get any vacants filled, take care of any, major issues, start to put your systems in place. So get your property management software, all that stuff. That's what I mean by stabilizing your property. And so you're going to want to have a conversation with a loan officer, assuming your first deal, you had a good loan officer that you have a, good relationship with, you like them, you trust them, they did a good job for you. You're going to give them a call and say, listen, we just closed this one, better than anybody what my financial situation is. What do I have to do to get to the next one? I'm already looking ahead to the second one. That's going to be exciting for them because they've got another deal in the pipeline. And if you're really serious about it, there's probably 10 deals in the pipeline for that person. So they're going to work with you and they're going to educate you on the things that you need to do to get, to that next property. And like Walter said in the beginning, it's the hardest one. It's a lot harder to get to that point, to that second deal from the first one. So you might be looking at a 1 to 2 year plan. It's theoretically should be at least a 1 year plan, because you're going to get an owner occupied loan. I'm taking either 5% down conventional or 3.5% FHA. So you're required to live in that property for a year. That's what you agree to when you're getting the loan, or at least you're supposed to intend to live in that property for a year. Personally, I've never heard of any lender or loan service or anything like that checking on whether or not you live there, but I wouldn't mess around with mortgage fraud. It's not something to take lightly. So you're looking at least 1 year. In a lot of cases, I think it might be a 2 year plan. It was 2.5 years for me. Walter, when you bought your first deal, how long did it take to get to your second deal? Is he still on the call? No. We lost Walter. Okay. Does anybody have more than one property right now that's on the call? No. Okay. I think if I remember correctly, Walter, it took him around a similar amount of time within that 1 to 2 year plan. So financially, your biggest hurdle is going to be your debt to income ratio. So anybody that's bought a property, that's a major factor in whether or not you can get a loan or not. Your income versus your debt. You got to be FHA, for example, you have to be below 50% to qualify for the loan. So now you buy a property. Let's say you're at 40% debt to income, and you add a mortgage. Once you do that, your debt to income ratio gets absolutely crushed because now you have this mortgage. The key there is you can add, you're going to have rental income that's going to be added. So automatically you start to get a little bit more income. But a lot of times you need to let that season, like a year or two, show it on your taxes before a lender is going to count that towards your income. And if you have like any kind of 1099 type of work, that's going to need to be on your taxes for 2 years before you can qualify. So the key is don't add any more debt and pay off any debt that you already have so that your debt to income ratio gets better and better over time as you approach the time when you're going to purchase that second deal. So to increase your income, you could get another job, you could get a side hustle. But remember what I said, that if you get a 1099 type of job, where you're an independent contractor, that's going to need to be on your taxes for 2 years for a lender to count it, usually. And then also you want to make sure that, I'm going to mention this at another point, but just make sure that you're claiming all of your rental income. Because if you say, if you're trying to avoid taxes on your rental income and you don't show enough, that's not going to help you income wise for what you're showing to your lender to get to that second deal. And then this is just very basic personal finance, but save as much as you can and live below your means. If your goal is to get a second property, then you have no business being lavish, or acting like you're rich, renting expensive things, going on expensive vacations, et cetera, et cetera. And again, leverage your tools for your first property. Get your property management software. Get your contractors in place. So that you can essentially put your property on autopilot. That's until you have a property manager, that's really never going to be the case. But as close to possible as autopilot, where you don't have to, you're not super active in your property, so it's taking a lot of time. So you can put that time into making more money to pay down your debt, or looking for more deals, maybe you're wholesaling deals, stuff like that. So you can use that time, getting close to the second deal rather than putting all that time into the first deal. All right, so just to summarize from the last slide, things to do, things not to do, and a lot of these things learn from experience, either because I did the right thing or I learned the hard way and I didn't do the right thing. My first, I tried, like right when I got out of college, I tried to buy a condo, and I didn't understand the debt to income ratio. All I knew was I qualified for X amount. And I went through this really long process of trying to buy a condo. It fell through. I kind of got bummed out. I got discouraged, and I used a lot of my savings to buy a high performance car. So I didn't realize that the added debt, because I financed most of it, the added debt didn't allow me to qualify for a mortgage anymore. So I think most of us know that, but at the time I didn't. So just something to keep in mind. So again, increase your income. If you have a job where you can work overtime, try to get as much overtime as you can. Create that side hustle, and that second job. The second job and the side hustle might not count towards your income, but you can use that income to pay down your debt, and that's going to help out your debt to income ratio. So if you have a car loan, if you have credit cards, if you have personal loans, if you have student loans, if you can get into a financial situation where you're paying that stuff off or paying it off faster, then you're going to be in a lot better place to buy that second deal once you get to that 1 year mark or that 2 year mark. Again, claim all your rental income so that you can show as much as possible. As far as I know, that doesn't need to be on your taxes for 2 years. I think once it's shown on the first year, I think you're good. But confirm that with your lender when you get to that point. Create and follow a very strict budget. So I have it right here. I have it with me all the time, pretty much. I have a very detailed budget that I write out, and I check it pretty much every day, see what bills I need to pay, make sure they're paid on time. So you don't want any late payments on your credit report. And I use that to figure out how much extra income I have to either do certain things in my life that I want to do, or if I can save that money, or if I can use it to pay down debt a little bit faster. And last one, understand your loan options. So I put that in there because I had it in my head that I could buy my second property and it be a multifamily. I ended up buying a single family with an in-law because there was no loan product for 5% down conventional for a multifamily. There was only 15% down, which at the time I didn't have. So it was very disappointing when I got to that point, and I knew a 5% down loan existed. So I thought I could use that to buy a multifamily, but in my situation, I could only use it for a single family. So I had to get a little bit creative, find a single family that had an in-law. I used that to rent it out to my friends to, pay the mortgage, create a little bit of cash flow. So just make sure that you have that conversation with your lender. What do I need to put down? What does my DTI need to be? How much do I need in reserves? If you're buying a 3-family, let's say you might need 2 or 3 months in reserves, just cash in your savings to be able to qualify for a loan like that. And, the don'ts are pretty obvious, but really, if you're not mindful of it, the stuff can get out of hand. You need a new car, you want a new car. Usually we don't need a new car. We just want a new car unless ours is toast. I think Walter's still driving his 2000s, mid 2000s Corolla. And that's because he realized he doesn't need a car to advance in his career and build wealth. He doesn't need a fancy car. He needs something to get from A to B. So that Corolla gets it done. He doesn't owe anything on it. He paid it off probably a decade ago, and it's going to run forever. So not only does getting a car loan, a boat loan, if you're buying a jet ski, if you take out a personal loan to go on a vacation, whatever it is, that stuff's not only going to decrease your cash every month, your cash flow, but it's going to hurt your DTI when you're trying to qualify for that next mortgage. Consumer debt, so credit cards is everybody's going to say that's the worst kind of debt. That the interest rates are ridiculous compared to even a car loan. You might get like 3 to 8% depending on your credit, whereas credit cards can be north of 24%. So once that stuff, those revolving accounts start to pile up interest, it can get out of control pretty quickly. And again, I say that from experience. So avoid credit cards at all costs. They should be really just for emergencies. If you're trying to build out a multifamily business, I would cut up the credit cards unless you really think there's something that might help you get closer to buying that second property. If you're going to put some sort of education on a credit card that's going to help you get knowledge a little bit faster, then that's something where, maybe it can be justified. If you're going to put Walter's mentorship on your credit card, I've done it. I put different training programs on a credit card just because I needed that. I felt like I needed that knowledge to get to the next level. And that's personally, I think that's really the only justification is if you have something that's going to get you to the next level. Otherwise, just put the credit cards in a lockbox somewhere and don't even look at them. Don't even consider it as an option in the day-to-day. And I put, don't live above your needs. Yeah, don't live above your means. create like a very specific budget. Every single line item. Look at your bank statements. That's what when I created mine, I took my bank statement. I said, what do I spend my money on every month? What's needed? What do I have to pay for? I have to pay for my car insurance, and my car, and my mortgage, and all that stuff. And what can I cut out? And what everybody needs to live their life. So if you have set some sort of spending budget, so just add that in there and make sure it still allows you to reach your goals, because the point of making money, I think, is to be able to enjoy life. So if you're not enjoying life, if you're penny pinching and hating your life, then that's not really a great way to go about it either, at least long term. And don't procrastinate. If that 1 year mark, that 2 year mark that you want to hit to be able to buy your second property, it comes up really fast. So don't say, oh, I'll start saving next month, I'll start saving next year. Just start right away and stick to your plan. Any questions so far? All right. So now, assuming that you created your plan, you're on the right path, you're saving your money, you're going to get to the point where the next purchase is on the horizon. So you're going to want to start thinking about what your options are. What am I going to buy? Where am I going to buy it? How many units am I going to buy? So again, you start with your lender. What are my options? Can I buy a multifamily? Can I only buy a single family? Do I qualify for a commercial loan? Can I make a commercial loan happen where I'm buying 5+ units? So at least in my market in Rhode Island, the 5+ market, in general, you're going to get a lot better pricing. So in a 2-unit, 3-unit, 4-unit, those can all be owner-occupied properties. Somebody can buy that with an owner-occupied loan. So you get competition from those people when you're trying to buy something, and they drive up the price. They don't need to cash flow, or they may not care about cash flowing. As long as 50% of their mortgage is paid for, then they don't really care as much about the rest. So they're willing to overpay if they can get something like that, compared to a single family where they're paying their entire mortgage. If they can overpay for a multi where they can save an amount equal to 50% of their mortgage, those people are going to be your competition. So prices are always higher per unit, usually. I would say most cases, at least in my area. So if you can get to the point where you qualify for a commercial loan, you can figure that out with your lender. You can get that commercial loan. You might be looking at better pricing, and better pricing is usually going to result in better cash flow, which is what we're all looking for. That's why we're here, buy real estate to cash flow. So you're going to want to consider commercial versus residential. It ultimately boils down to what you qualify for, and a couple things to consider. Should I get a partner? Can I buy something faster if I get a partner? Do I have a partner that I trust? Saying these things, I think probably maybe next week we'll talk about partnering, finding a partner, what makes a good partner, et cetera, et cetera. Do I need a partner? The answer is yes. So we'll talk about that next week, I think. But that's something to consider. If it makes sense in the beginning to get you to where you're going faster, more efficiently, partnering makes a lot of sense. I just bought a 7-unit in the spring with a partner. Without the partner, I probably can't make that deal happen. I probably would have wholesaled it, but with the partner, I was able to purchase it. So that's something to consider. And another thing is to look out of state. So I know in a lot of markets, the multifamily or just real estate pricing in general is inflated. So sometimes you might wonder, can I find something out of state that might cash flow a little bit better than where I am now? Maybe you have a relative that lives somewhere. They could be your boots on the ground, something like that. For me, I'm looking with a partner at near the Orlando area, something where I can use it a couple weeks out of the year, rent it for the rest of the year, have it pay for itself. Hopefully it cash flows a little bit. And I'd love to be able to do that, like some satellite vacation spots that I can use a week here, a week there, but ultimately it pays for itself. And by the time I retire, it's paid off, or I can use it to, refi and pull some money out to buy more property. And in a perfect world, little cash flow too. Get your distributions quarterly, monthly, whatever it is. So lastly, before I let you guys go, it really is just going to ultimately come down to creating your plan and executing it. So day one, establish your goals, make them very specific. I always have my goals on my desk, 7 pages, I believe. And I look at it almost every single day. I'd say 6 out of 7 days or 5 out of 7 days, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at where I want to go, making sure that things that I'm doing that particular day are going to get me to that goal that I'm looking to do. I break it down by year. I break it down in 7 different categories. 7 different categories. I break it down by quarter, and then I have daily and weekly goals as well. So make it very, very specific. Life is going to give you what you put out into the universe. So if you're not doing that stuff, I think it's a little bit less likely that it's going to come back to you. Write it down. For me, I typed it out, but a lot of people will say, a lot of coaches will say there's a lot of power in actually writing stuff down, handwriting it every single day. So if you have obviously I can't rewrite this, these 7 pages every single day, but if you have a few goals that are very important to you, write them down every single day. It's going to help you. Ever since I started writing my goals down, reviewing my goals, doing my affirmations, tracking my net worth, I don't think it's a coincidence that those things all improved based on me tracking them. So add it to your affirmations every morning, and before I go to bed, I say I have a script of affirmations. I change it once every 6 months or once every year, depending on what my goals are. And a really, really big thing that I've noticed has helped is I got this from Chet Holmes in the Ultimate Sales Machine. He created a recording of his affirmations. So I know Walter did this. You put it on repeat when you're getting ready, put headphones in, and all of that information is going straight to your subconscious. Pay attention to it, add emotion to it at least one time through the affirmation, but then you can put it on repeat, have it play basically in the background while you're getting ready, and that's going to help it get cemented into your subconscious. If anybody has read Think and Grow Rich, if you haven't, please do, but if you've read it, you understand what I mean with saying these affirmations. Coach Terry Wager, if you guys don't already do this, check out his training on Thursday nights. It's a sales training, so if you're in that field, definitely recommend it. But his big thing is stay on track. It's so easy to get off track with our goals, with our health, anything like that. The key is stay on track and to realize when you're going off track and pull yourself back in. Make sure you remember things that are important, where you're trying to go. I think writing down your goals, repeating them in your affirmations is the key to actually staying on track. Don't forget to track your net worth. Do it every week or at least every month. It's I think since I started tracking my net worth, I think it's quadrupled. If you guys are new to the Alchemist community, Ryan McDermott be the first one to tell you he noticed a huge change once he started tracking his net worth. It just started to explode. It's not a coincidence. You start to pay attention to every little detail that goes into your net worth. If you need a net worth tracker, I'm going to throw my where's the chat? I'm going to throw my contact info into the chat. If you need I'll send you the net worth tracker that I use. So if you want to use that, and I think Dorina could probably help you with that as well. If you guys know Dorina, she has a net worth tracker, I think, as well. So reach out to her. And lastly, I don't remember where exactly, if it was a YouTube video or in one of his books, but engulf yourself in Rod Khleif and all his teachings and listen to his advice on goal setting. I think it's some of the best goal setting methods that I've experienced. That's how I got, the way that I set my goals and I write them down was from Rod Khleif. I think it's, it's very, very powerful. So definitely check that out. So I'm putting my email and my phone number into the chat right now. Does anybody have any questions before I let you guys go? All right. Awesome. So join us again next week on Buy Real Estate to Cash Flow and Get Rich, because the only difference between broke people and rich people is how they spend their time. And Walter would say, when you have a choice, always work with the best. See you guys.